Alexander Hamilton, prophesied that a great city would rise on the west bank of the Hudson. And today you're going to get a glimpse as to why that's Jersey City, because of the stories that make up this community, the stories that are woven into every block, every barrio, every bodega, every university. There's something beautiful that transpires in this community, and it's what stirs our conscience, it's what stirs our hearts to be of service, to be willing participants in our own lives, not just passerbyers. So this compass is not just metal. It is inheritance. It is testimony. It crossed an unforgiving ocean in my father's hands. He was a boy who had lost his mother at the age of 3, a man who carried absence like a shadow and turned it into resilience. When he pressed this compass against his chest, it did more than point north. It pointed towards dignity. It pointed towards possibility. He carried no map, no guarantee, only faith wrapped in hope. And this compass has his companion. When he placed it in my hands decades later, he wasn't just giving me an object. It wasn't just a family heirloom. He was giving me direction. He was giving me responsibility. He was saying, you come from sacrifice, but you're not bound by it. You're guided by it. This compass doesn't just remind me of where I come from. It reminds me where I have to go and the unyielding hope that has shaped me. You know, growing up the son of Cuban immigrants, there's a lot about reviving struggle and sacrifice. But there's also culture, and there's heritage that's tethered to it. And whether it was the mixing of sugar and coffee in the morning and the brewing of it that started a morning, or the Afro-Cuban rhythms that culminated and marked every single celebration, from quinces to baptisms to weddings to funerals. There was always something worth celebrating in our stories. So there's a rhythm in Afro-Cuban music that holds everything together. La clave. It's not the loudest sound. It's not the flashiest. But without it, the music collapses. My father taught me to be la clave. Leadership is not performance. It is presence. It's not about commanding attention, but keeping people together when the world threatens to fall apart. It's about generating grit and resolve when our hearts need it the most. And he lived that rhythm. My parents lived that rhythm. Rising before dawn, working long after sunset, carrying burdens in silence, giving dignity through their service. From Abuela's kitchen, there also came rhythm. The slow simmer of frijoles negros, the fragrance of arroz con pollo, stretching to feed many mouths. It's where I saw the alchemy of people who create abundance from scarcity. From Papi came comfort. Al mal tiempo, buena cara. In the worst storm, you wear your bravest face. From Mommy's words came conviction. Lo que está para ti, nadie te lo quita. What's meant for you, no one can take it away. And they'll try. These weren't just sayings. They were hymns. They were sheet music for resilience. They were leadership disguised as love. We live in an age that's obsessed with crowns, with the glitter of titles and roles, with the applause of followers. But real leadership is not found in crowns. It's about the cross we choose to carry, the invisible burdens of others, the weight of responsibility without reward, the sacrifices no one applauds. See, because the crown asks to be admired. The crown asks for adoration, but the cross asks to be carried. And here's the truth. Our world doesn't need more performers. It needs more carriers, more people willing to hold the weight of others. Not because it's glamorous, but because it is necessary. Leadership isn't theater. It is devotion. It is not the spotlight. It is the steady flame. It is prayer in motion. I was born unapologetically and very proudly on the margins. And here's what I want you to know. The margins are not empty. They are alive. Alive with resilience, alive with creativity, alive with people who know how to make something out of nothing. But leadership requires us to move to the center. Not to dominate it, not to claim it, but to build bridges across it. It needs us to be bridge builders. And this is what I've come to learn. Not just as a lesson in architecture, but a lesson in life. Every bridge has two anchors. One rooted in where we come from, and one reaching toward where we must go. Bridges are not built for one person, they're built for entire communities, for futures, for generations yet unborn. You see, my father did not cross an ocean with certainty. He crossed it with faith. Faith not as dogma, but as forward motion. Faith in believing that the next step will hold, even when the ground is hidden. Faith is lighting a candle in the dark, not because it chases away every shadow, but because the darkness is kept from swallowing us whole. And leadership requires that kind of courage. To walk towards the future with no map, to risk when safety is incredibly seductive, to believe when doubt feels inevitable, because leadership without faith is theater. Leadership with faith is transformation. Today, my dad lives in a place where memory fades, where the man who once guided me with this compass sometimes forgets where he is. But memory, I've learned, is not the measure of love. Humanity is how we love forward. His spirit still beats with La Clave. His compass still points me onward. And I have come to understand leadership is not about being remembered. It's about leaving behind something worthy of being remembered. We live in divided times. To put it diplomatically, these are incredibly unprecedented times. But the stories that unfold beautifully in our community remind us that we create unprecedented people all the time. This is an age where leadership too often feels like theater and humanity feels like an afterthought. But Abuela's Kitchen reminds us that from scarcity, we can create abundance. Mommy's words remind me that in storms, we wear our bravest face. Papi's life reminds me that what's meant for you cannot be taken from you. And this compass reminds me that we can find direction even when lost. The clave reminds me we can keep rhythm even when the world falls out of time. And the cross reminds us that leadership is not a crown to be admired, but a burden to be carried, with devotion, with humility, with love. So I ask all of us, be the compass for those searching for direction. Be the clave that steadies our community's rhythm. Carry the cross not for applause, but for humanity. Because the greatest leaders are not those who are admired, they're those who make us more human. Thank you and God bless you.